Welcome back. Welcome back. This is Unit 4 Programming. This is assignment B and C. I'm just going to show you my document here quickly. So this is the first part. This was screenshotted directly from the Unit 4 spec. I'm going to scroll down. That's part 1. This is part 2. And this down here is part 3. Now, if I keep scrolling, I copied stuff from the assignment brief as well, because I think it's good to have everything in one single document so I don't have to keep switching documents. And down here at the very end, I have the checklist. This also was copied from the assignment brief. And what this is a checklist of the evidence that's expected of you. Now, this is what I wanted to go over with you guys, a pre-P4 stuff. So the requirements, the specification, and planning. Now, again, in my previous video, I explained that this was not something that the examiners or the exam board said we needed to do. However, it can be implied that this needs to be done because you cannot design and implement before you have requirements, specification, and planning. Now, I'm going to try and go through this loosely. It's not going to be perfect, but hopefully I can give an overview of what needs to be done. First thing first, it says requirements and specification section and the planning section. So you need to do these 3 things before you even make a start on P4. Because again, P4 is to design. So before you can design, you have to know what you're designing. What is the purpose of your design? So as I've said here, you need to define everything. So what are requirements? You give a reference for that. What is specification? You give a reference for that. What is planning? You give a reference for that as well. Now, after doing that, you outline your requirements and specification. So the requirements, this is what the client comes to you with, and you create the specification. So requirements can almost be copied from the assignment brief scenario. You can bullet point it, you can change it into a paragraph, you can do whatever you think you need to do. So this is what needs to be done by you. Requirements are simply an interpretation of what needs to be done. So again, what is required is called the requirements. And that's what's given to you by the client. They might come and say, oh, I want this and I want that and I want this. That's going to be non-technical. It's going to be very loose. And then you have to turn that into specification. The specification is going to be more technical. Here we go. So I have a Google search here, and all I typed into Google is how to write a specification. So you guys can type that in as well. When I do finish the website and I put this up, you guys will be able to access it, because this entire thing needs to have project management in there as well. What I've gone ahead and said, just a few questions to try and tie you over. I know I'm going a bit overboard here, but my aim is to work towards everyone being able to get to a distinction. If you choose not to, that's up to you. So the next question I have here again, what is project management? And with everything I ask, I'm going to say ref it, which means reference it. Why is project management important? Again, find a website that explains the process and explain why it's important. Reference it as well. Let me copy and paste this. You need to reference it. What are some project management methods? Find a few online, reference those. List about the top 3 or top 4, Agile, Waterfall, Scrum, any one of the ones that you want to mention, top 3 or top 4. I would say no more than 4 is necessary in my opinion. Just be sure to use to add the one that you're going to be using. For example, I think Agile might be the best thing for this kind of project because you can jump back and forth. Which do you think will work best for your project? Give some information on this. So again, after you detail what is project management, why is it important, what are some project management methods, you potentially choose, not potentially, you actually choose one that you want to use. Now, I don't suggest you guys use Waterfall because it's very rigid. It doesn't allow you to make changes. You don't get to actually go back and forth until you finish one entire process. Whereas Agile, generally speaking, it says you can make any change at any time within reason. You have to decide which project management method you want to use, and you will have a list of project management methods because that was the previous question here. Now you say, why do you think that will work well compared to others? So the benefits of the one that you've chosen. So this entire section here, let me just put a space there. This entire section here is about project management. So you can pause the video and go back and have a look through these questions here. The next thing you want to do is to come up with your specifications. The specifications are linked directly to the requirements. So let me just close this part here and zoom in some more. So I've labeled it requirements and specifications, and I've tried to convert what has been said to me into specifications. So the very first thing said participants may enter the tournament as individuals or as part of a team. Now again, this is a new section called requirements and specification, and this is all done before P4. This is the pre-P4 stuff. Participants may enter the tournament as individuals or as part of a team. So when you think about it, I mean, you have the option available to allow a single person to be a team or have multiple people to be a team. When the program runs, ask if a team or a single person. So when the program just starts, we can do something along the lines of, are you a person or are you a single team? If they choose person, enter your single name. If they choose team, enter 5 names, so on and so forth. It is expected that there will be 4 teams, each with 5 members, and there will be 20 spaces for individual competitors. And again, try to translate that into whatever it means to you. Allow each team to enter 5 names. These will be the names of the team members. Again, very, very loosely done. Now you can add more detail here. For example, I know I'm going to be using Python. I know I'm going to be making use of lists. So I could have added stuff like that here, but I think it's a bit too early because we haven't actually designed anything yet. Each team or individual will complete 5 events. Each team, whether it be a single person or 5 people, will play 5 games in total. This can be a manual process, but an automatic selection and playing will be explored. What that means is I'm going to have like a list of games, let's say a list of 10 or 20 games. And when the program starts for the first time, I'm going to have 5 of those 10 or 20 chosen at random, and those are the games that will be played. Each event will be defined as a team or individual event. Each event that is played will be labeled as a team event or an individual event. Again, you don't really need to do this, but I'm just trying to give as much context as possible. So when an event is played, it's going to be labeled, for example, football, team event or individual event. It could be one person versus one person, or it could be team versus team. So we're going to specify what kind of event it is. The events will vary in type from sporting to academic challenges, have numerous games in the events, possibly have the judge choose the games at the start, or the 5 games can be chosen at random. Another option is to have a list of possible games, have the program choose at random 5 different games, and those are the options. And the last 2 are individuals and teams will be awarded points according to their rank within each event. The points awarded for each event are as yet undecided, and the college are willing to hear any suggestions you may have. Okay, so for me, I've just gone ahead and said, the first place, the person gets 5 points. Second place, the person gets the team gets 4 points. Third place, 3 points. Second place, 2 points. And last place, you get 1 point or 0 points. Haven't fully decided yet, but again, we can chop and change things as we need. That was the whole purpose of using Agile, so we can come back and change it to 0 or 1 later on. Also, the college would like to include the possibility of entering for 1 event only. Again, just describe what this means. So the requirements and specification, I would join it into one section. You don't have to do what I've done here and explain each one, because I think they're pretty self-explanatory already. The specification, now you need to explain what is actually going to be done from your end in as technical terms as you can, but again, it doesn't need to be crazy. You now have a nice checklist of things that you need to complete, so we can make use of this again. You can refer to this when it comes to evaluating what was done. For example, 7 things were required. You might have only done 4 of the 7. So you can say, I done number 1, 2, 3, and 4. I was not able to get 5, 6, and 7 completed because time or whatever the reason is, but we're not at that stage yet, so let me keep going. Again, this is all P4 stuff. I have another section called project planning. So what is project planning and why is it important? Your project plan will come next. So this is where we're going to plan our project. Now, I'm not going to use any fancy spreadsheet templates and make it all confusing. I'm just going to write it out. So plan for design. So again, the stages of most projects, let's say initiation, INITIA, initiation, we have plan, we have design, we have implement, and normally we have test. So we've done initiation already. We've spoken about requirements and specifications. Now we're at planning. Now, what does planning actually need us to do? I'm going to say I'm going to plan for each section. So I'm going to plan how I'm going to do my design. I'm going to plan how I implement, and I'm going to plan how I test, and maybe I plan evaluation as well. So the way this works, what is design and why is it important? Reason being, this is the very first time we're speaking about design in any sensible context, unless you've done it at the very top where you've spoken about the project management stages and all of that. You can define it there as well. I plan to use pseudocode and flowcharts. Again, if this is the very first time you're speaking about pseudocode and or flowcharts, you define them. What is pseudocode? Reference it. What is a flowchart? Reference it. What will be done and why? So this is the typical, what are you going to do? So a plan is supposed to tell you what you're supposed to do and why. For the pseudocode, I will simply use a word processor like Microsoft Word or Google Docs. Why? They're readily available, easily installed, and because it's just text, it doesn't need to be anything special. I'll be making use of Microsoft Word and or Google Docs to write my report, so I might as well use the same program to do my pseudocode. Perfect. For flowcharts, I will make use of PowerPoint. Why? It has all the shapes and connectors I need. Again, this is probably going to be installed on most of your PCs at school or colleges, so that's why I've opted to use PowerPoint. It's very easy to use. There are videos online, there are resources that you can use to do exactly what you want. Very, very easy. All the shapes you want are in there. Pseudocode will simply be copied into my document. Again, I'm just trying to explain the planning process for me. So flowchart will be exported as a PNG or screenshotted and imported into the document. So this is how I'm going to get my pseudocode into my document. I could type it in another Word document and copy and paste it into my proper report document. That's what this means. Flowcharts will be exported as PNG. So when I finish creating my flowchart in PowerPoint, I'm going to go File, Export, Save as PNG, and I'm going to bring that into my document. Now, if you want to be fancy, you can also sketch a GUI as well, so a graphical user interface, and this will be a part of your design process. I'm not going to do that for mine, but just for people who are going to do sketches, that could be a part of your plan as well. Pseudocode, flowchart, a sketch of what your GUI, your graphical user interface, is supposed to look like as well. So design pieces of evidence. So I'm going to say pseudocode text, flowchart diagram, images of GUI sketch. Not much, but these are the evidences I would produce. And again, this is just a plan for your design. You might change this 100%, change everything here. It doesn't really matter. This is just a plan for your design. Now, I also have plan for implementation or development. It's the same thing. What is project implementation and why is it important? First question to ask there. What and why, just like before. So we're going to say what we're going to use and why we're going to use it. Now, I think Python, why? Any other one is fine. So we could use Java, C, C++, Visual Basic, HTML, whatever language you decide to use is actually perfectly okay. I'm going to use Python. Now, thinking from your perspective, you're a student, you probably haven't programmed before. This might be one of your very first programs. Python is easy to learn based on the research that we've done essentially. There are a lot of videos online, there are a lot of resources online. It has a lot of libraries to help me do complex things. It can visualize, I can create a GUI, I can create graphs, I can do so many things in Python very easily. This is an assignment, one of like 13 that you guys might have to do. So because of that, you want to go with the easy option. Simple, whatever reason you deem fit for the language you want to use. I'm going to use Google Chrome. Why? I'm going to be using Python online using that system called Python Repl, REPL.IT. That gives me access to Python online. I can create an account, I can program on there, I can do everything I want. I'm going to be using Python Cloud, so that Repl website as well. It allows me to save my programs online. Another reason I'm using Chrome, I don't have to install any extra software. So once I have a Chrome or any web browser on my laptop, to be fair, I can use Python online. Another reason I want to use Chrome or whichever web browser you've chosen, I can work from anywhere. So once I have Chrome on my laptop at home, laptop at school, desktop in my office, desktop in my basement, whatever the case is, I can work from anywhere because I'm using that web browser to access most or all of my resources. Again, I'm using Chrome because I have a low spec PC. I don't want to go and install a different program just to write some Python code when Chrome works perfectly fine on my PC and I know I can program online. So again, what am I using? In this case, is Google Chrome. Why am I using it? I'm going to be using Google Chrome and the Python online thing to do my actual development. I'm using Windows. You could use iOS, you could use Mac, you could use whatever you want. I'm using Windows. Why am I using Windows? Again, from your perspective, these programs are readily installed on PCs at work, school, everywhere you want to go. You can probably find a Windows PC somewhere. And for this part, I'm going to plan for testing and evaluation. What is testing and why is it important? Types of testing, so white box, black box. Which testing method will you use? I would use both white box and black box testing. Say why. Why do you want to use white box? And again, because you've defined what is white box and you've defined what is black box, you can come back and say why you want to use white box and why you want to use black box. So maybe here, so what is black box testing? What is white box testing as well? Because you've defined each of these, you know the benefits of them, you know why people use them. You can come back and say why you've chosen to use one or why you've chosen to use both. I will test if a feature works. I will evidence this using a screenshot and tick that from my requirements. Now, again, this is development. I will do something, I'll program it, and then I will come back and test it and evaluate it. This is how I plan to do my testing. If it does not work, I will evidence this via a screenshot and try to rectify the issue. Again, this is my testing and evaluation. If the issue is rectified, I will evidence how it was fixed. If not fixed, I will remove that feature in order to prevent crashing. So if you keep trying time and time again, and your program doesn't work, keeps crashing, remove that section from your program. If your program crashes, you're going to lose most of the marks for that section. So you're better off having a partial working program than a program that crashes when you add too many features. Now, finally, I say, I will also ask others to review my designs and development. Why? This might aid me in fault finding and general improvements. Now, again, this is just the plan. Let me scroll back up. This was a plan for my design. I have a plan for my implementation, and I also have a plan for my testing and evaluation sections. So this is all before we even get to P4. Hopefully that was useful. Please pause the video if you need to pause it, go back, listen, pause it, read what's on screen. I will make this document available as soon as the website is up, but as it stands now, Google Drive is not safe enough for me to share this. Thank you for watching. Good luck.